Hello and welcome to another in the player profile series from the Fantasy Legion. You all right, Sean?
Good to be back. Yeah, love these. Really enjoyed them. Thanks
I'll
for the
put-
comments. Keep those comments coming. If you've got players you want us to review, tell us and we will do that.
This guy, he's had a few injury problems in the past. His ADP
Love
is
those.
56. He's still paying a fairly high price.
Oh, okay, yeah. Love an injury risk player.
Well, yeah, exactly. He's on a decent team, but an improving
Yeah.
team, sort of middle of the road team, really. Indianapolis Colts. T.Y. Hilton. Are you
Yeah.
a buyer at ADP of 56? So let me just tell you who's around him.
Yeah.
So, because these are the sort of decisions you're going to have to make. Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs are kind of the receivers around him, or Lev Bell if you want to run him back, and Darren Waller if you want a tight end. So,
I would say this. I think this would be one of the hardest decisions that you would ever give me this year because if I was in a draft, I've already got, at 56 is quite good because for our bigger leagues, I'll use those as an example here. That puts this in the fourth round, doesn't it? So he's a player that could go into the fourth round. I've been thinking about him quite a lot recently, actually, funny enough. And he's the biggest risk for me this year because I actually really like the ADP. I really do. And I think for his services and what he's capable of in that team and the way that they're taking steps forward, I really do. The thing is, obviously, it's who throws him the ball is the big question mark. Really,
well, Rivers is a step up on Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I agree. And that's why, when you consider Philip Rivers and him together, because I was thinking back to last year and what held him back other than, injuries happen to players. But he's been a very, very good serviceable player for a number of years until recently when things have turned a little sour. But I think that's down to quarterback play. And obviously getting Philip Rivers...
It is. I mean, he had Andrew Luck before. I mean, Andrew Luck's elite. Yeah. He hasn't got...
And so,
Rivers, you could argue Rivers is elite.
Well, no, what we can definitely say about Rivers, though, is one point, right? Really important point about this. This is why it caused me a real pause. It will cause me a pause for when we draft, actually. Philip Rivers was the third best in the NFL throwing the ball deep last year. That's a stat that's missed, right? So T.Y. Hilton thrives on that stuff. So I was thinking, my mind was ticking over, actually, is he good ADP value? And I'd say he's the biggest risk-reward player you've got down there because you could argue you've loaded up early with running backs, which is kind of sensible fantasy advice. And you might be looking at your second wide receiver, perhaps your first. There is a gamble, but the potential return for a guy like this is pretty brilliant, frankly. So I think he's pretty safe. I think he can definitely get that 140 range that I'm looking for if he's in the fourth. Maybe less you need because you're getting him in the fifth or sixth. You need even less. So, the better the value you can get him at, the easier this is going to be to hit those numbers. Yeah, I think he's a very interesting character for this year. I'm not as concerned about him injury-wise as maybe I should be more red flagging about him. But
yeah, that's what concerns me the most. And that he put most of his numbers up with Andrew Luck, who,
Yeah, but I think that's, Philip Rivers can bring some of that back. So,
well, the good thing for Rivers is, I think the thing that really held Rivers back last year was the O-line. The Chargers O-line was horrific. He was just getting smashed all the time. And that O-line for the Colts with Nelson, etc., and it is, it's going to be a top O-line, I think. So
it is, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Philip Rivers is going to have time. He's got a fabulous situation there in terms of, who's running the ball. I mean, I don't care who gets it, whether it's Marlon Mack, Jonathan Taylor, or a combination of all two. I really don't care. They're going to be able to run the ball down your throat. And, you couple that with the kind of players that are up and coming within that organisation to go around T.Y. Hilton. Yeah, he has a chance. The reason why I say this is the biggest gamble is exactly that reason, because the injury thing has me slightly worried, because whenever I talk about picking your top five, when you're picking your top five players, I don't mind risk reward. Like, if I'm going to take a gamble on a player, maybe like say I decide, I don't know, Jonathan Taylor would be a good one to choose. If I think that Jonathan Taylor can return me 160 fantasy points, I'm going to pick him in the third round, but I believe he's going to start the job by middle of the season and take over. If that's what I believe, then that's great, and if that works out, brilliant. But if I get it wrong, then I'm only going to get the production that Jonathan Taylor gives me. But however, he's got no red flag around him. Whereas T.Y. Hilton, we know how good he's been in the past, but the last couple of seasons have been pretty poor.
I mean, I think he's been injured.
He could be
games nearly every one.
He could be the biggest bounce back candidate for the entire 2020 season of a veteran, and he could be amazing. Could come back to stellar best for 1 or 2 seasons. But he is the biggest risk and the biggest pause I would have ever. It's very rare I would ever say if that was on the ball. If he's on the ball and there's a couple of players around him, I'm like, I may need 2-minute timeout to really decide. And it's a big moment. It's a big moment.
He's another one where he's a clear number one receiver on the team. They've got, Michael Pittman, rookie.
Yeah.
They've got Paris Campbell, who was a rookie last year but hardly played. And then they've got a couple of journeymen or, the people that aren't really top players behind those. So, he's going to be, surely he's the number one target. He's clear number one receiver.
Yeah.
Like you say, the injury is the risk. The injury is the risk. He's not a big player that scores a lot of touchdowns either, is he?
No, he's never given you more.
And they're going to run the ball a lot.
Look, it's 6 to 8 is his general. It's a bit like Julio Jones, but he's not Julio Jones. He's generally been a tier below him in the past when he's been at his best. I would argue that he's a couple of tiers below him at the moment because the injury definitely holds him back. So this causes the biggest pause for thought because the potential this guy can explode past that ADP value, definitely, and surprise people. But it is a big pause for thought because I just wonder if you're just wasting the pick here and he ends up being very injury riddled again. And you just sit there going, I knew that, so why did I bother doing it?
It's definitely a high risk, high reward, this one.
It's a gambler's pick, I think.
Yeah. Would I take Keenan Allen above him? I think I probably would.
Yeah, okay, and that's fair.
Even though I don't like the Chargers at all this year.
So I think it depends on my team makeup. If I had 3, if we're talking big leagues, 16-man leagues, I had 3 running backs off the board and I'm looking at a wide receiver and he's the first one off the board, okay, I may have to take that risk. But if I've got a balance to a team, I don't think I need to take the risk of T.Y. Hilton, so I probably wouldn't. It's the way I would look at it.
I mean, we're probably going to draft multiple teams, so I'd take him in a couple of leagues, but I wouldn't take him in a lot of leagues. I think that'd be the way I looked at it. If you were only drafting one team, would you be prepared to gamble on his fitness?
Not for one team, no. I wouldn't. I like you. It would have to be where I've got multiple teams. There are some players I'm chips, or you know how I am. I literally am that. I will go for it. I will go for it if the player meets what I want him to do, because I'm looking forward to watching them all year long and I want lots of shares. But there are certain players, he's one of them where, a share here or there, okay, I can go with that, but not everywhere. No, definitely not.
Okay. Well, there you go. What do you think? Are you a buyer this year? Are you worried about the injuries? Let us know down in the comments below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video and subscribe for the lots more content we've got coming your way. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.